your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. It's your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, we get into some good old indie comics writing, storytelling, nerddom with this awesome gentleman right here who himself is a blogger, a YouTuber, and of course, a writer. And he, explained to us his universe that he has built. I can't wait. I mean, everything was cool that I was peeping on the background, so I can't wait to dig in, dive in from the man himself, this legend in the making, the one, the only, the incredible Sean James. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you for coming on to talk about your journey, your books and all. We appreciate it here at the Crusaders, man. Always getting put on to new creators, that are out there doing what they got to do. So, let's go, brother. Let's get it started, baby. So I need to always go back and reel it back just a tad, if you will. And we need to know where you originally from. And the most important question of your life is, what is the first thing in fandom that you ever fell in love with?
Well, when it comes to fandom, I started out being a fan of comics when I was 4 years old. That's when I was introduced to comics by my brother Steve when I was a kid, and I basically knew who all of the Avengers were by the time I was about 5. So I knew basically who all the characters in the Marvel Universe were. I knew who all the DC characters were, and that started my love for comics back then, and started me on this journey to becoming a comic fan and eventually becoming a comic creator.
So where was this? Where did you get put on? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the South Bronx. I grew up in the worst part of the South Bronx.
Yes. Oh, man, he says, listen, all parts of the South Bronx is the worst part. Oh, back in the day.
Well, my part was pretty bad. I was living on Park Avenue near the railroad tracks.
Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, I get it. Yeah, man. But listen, you survived. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of lessons and stories that probably got into your stories from there. Oh, it's going to be interesting. All right. Because did you see the documentary back in the day? And Cartoon Network, Rubble Kings?
No, I have never saw that. I couldn't afford cable.
Oh man, no. Oh, but this is came out maybe, was it 10 years ago? Maybe more. Listen, man, time flies nowadays. Who knows? But it was on Cartoon Network, and it was really, comeuppance of the South Bronx, particularly. Holy crap, bro! So I actually that if you've seen that, because just how everything looked, if that was the specific area you were there, because it was definitely crazy back then. My family.
I lived it. I lived in the area.
Well,
I lived among the burnt down buildings, abandoned buildings. I mean,
okay, so you were in that. You were in the rubble area. Wow, crazy, bro.
Yeah,
crazy. Okay, so here you are. You're a geek. Okay, so that's a long time ago to be a comic geek, and that wasn't cool then. So did you have a tribe, or was just between you and your brother?
It was just me and my brother. I mean, a lot of times I would try to get with kids, but they just didn't want anything to do with me. So it was just me and my brother.
Man, F in New York, bro. I know how it is. All right. So how did you eventually then, kind of get dive into your nerddom to get creative?
Well, what made me get creative was I was about 9 years old, and I really wanted to make comics and make my own comics. And that's where I started my journey into wanting to learn how to make comic books. So I couldn't draw very well, so I learned how to make pictures with words. And that's what started me on my journey to learning how to become a writer. And that's what made me want to aspire to be a writer of comics when I was a teenager, because that was one of the jobs I always had a dream of doing, was being able to write comics. But it's always been a passion for me, and I've always loved comics because that was how I learned how to read. That was how I learned how to really see the world, because I learned from comic books about life and stuff. So I always wanted to give back to the medium that helped me learn how to read, and that's where I get all this passion from, to learn how to write stories.
Man, you are definitely a person of my gen too, because I think exactly like that in regard to comics. This is why I do what I do here, to speak to awesome creators, you know what I mean, and share their journeys, because it was creators, like yourself, that helped me when I was growing up and threw me into fantasy worlds instead of being attentive to what was going on around me. You know what I mean? That I didn't want to or shouldn't have been around. you know,
Yeah.
um, and it's okay. It's great to see another person that found comics as a healing place, if you will. It's pretty cool. So, who was your go to though, as a kid? And no matter what, this is the one character that in your mind no one could defeat. He's the coolest. That's that, hands down. No, so who's your person?
Well, one of my favorite characters is Iron Man because Iron Man was one of these guys who was he was a rich guy, and I grew up poor, and I related to him because he was rich, but I also related to him because of the tragedy that he had when he went into Vietnam. And that tragedy basically was one I could relate to because I had a brain aneurysm when I was age of 7. And
Oh,
him overcoming that adversity was one of the things I could relate to because he overcame the shrapnel in his heart. And that really was one of the things that motivated me to persevere and overcome all of the stuff that I had suffered from this brain aneurysm that led to people thinking that I was slow and handicapped. But I wanted to show people how smart I was. And I could always relate to Tony Stark's struggles, and I could always relate to that character because a lot of it reminded me of myself.
oh wow, check that out. But so, all right, let's get back to that creation then. So, how did you learn to get out there? What era did you try to get your work out there ever? What was the first attempts of you like wanting to go pro? How did that go?
Well, I first tried to start getting out here in the 90s, but the whole industry was it was very insular back then. I mean, I have been trying to get into comics ever since about 1994, 1995, when Milestone was out there. That's when I first started to try to get out there as a writer. I just graduated college and I just found myself up against the wall. But the whole thing is that was something that I saw was a good thing because it helped me to be able to develop my skills. And as I developed my skills, I started to learn about different techniques of writing. I learned about how to write screenplays. I learned how to write novels. And over time, I started to develop my skills. But I really wanted to come out in the 90s and do this. But I'm glad that I was able to wait because I was able to develop my skills. And by the time 2009 came along, that's when I started my own SJS Direct imprint after publishing 2 print-on-demand books. And after that, that's where I really started to get serious about this business. And as I got serious about publishing books, that's when I wanted to go into comics. And that's when I started to do comics first with the Steve No Good Deed, then the John Haynes at Death's Door. And that's where I've been going as related to things. I want to try to get a 3rd book out, but I'm just trying to get the money together to get that done.
Well, you're gonna get it done. Ain't no trying. You're doing, brother. You're doing now. All right. So before we get into your career journey, you did mention Milestone, and I was a Milestone fan because there was finally a comics line that wasn't the like we normally seeing growing up. You know what I mean? How did you feel when you saw Milestone drop for the first time?
I was very happy to see Milestone drop. I mean, this was the first time I saw a Black-owned comic company creating Black characters, and that was something that I wanted to do myself. And I really wished I could have been a part of Milestone. I really wish I could have been a part of that team because I believe I had a lot to offer them. But sadly, the company wound up in a struggle after about the 1997 or so. But that whole comic book company was one of those major influences on me because as a guy, again, one of my missions was to create positive stories about Black people, and I was happy to see them do that. I was happy to see these characters in comics for the first time. I mean, I bought all those comics when they first came out, and I was just really happy to have them. I still have them in my collection, and it was one of those things that really inspired me to say, yeah, we can get comics out here featuring Black characters and characters of color. We can get those characters out there, and there's an audience for them, and people really love them. And I really was happy to see that. I mean, that was something that, again, was one of the major moments of my life, just seeing Milestones come out here. And I wish I could, again, have been able to build on that. But what I'm trying to do now is build on their momentum with SJS Direct and creating a world similar to Milestone's universe and creating a whole world of characters that are similar to what Milestone produces.
Wonderful, man. All right, so let's get into SJS, baby. That's your name acronym, right?
Yes, the name of my company is Sean James's Stories Direct to You.
Hey, I love that. All right, bet. Okay, so when did you establish this, baby?
I established this imprint in 2009 because I wanted to be able to grow past the print-on-demand companies that I'd worked with in the past. And I established this imprint because I wanted to be able to have more creative control over the whole publication process and be able to create and craft stories that met a high standard as related to publication. So
Yeah.
I had this original mission to create Black characters and positive Black characters on as related to just writing, and I wanted to do it through trade publishers, but it was just hard to get through that whole place of the whole query process. So I decided to start publishing my own books on my own imprint that featured stories that fit my standards. So
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to do with the SJS Direct imprint in 2009. And over the course of the last about 10 to 15 years, I've published over 80 books. And I'm looking to try to move into comic books and trying to expand the Black audience's perspective with stories in science fiction and fantasy and stories that we don't see, like characters that are Black goths and Black sorority characters, and even a vampire novel that I did, Eternal Night. That's what's all on the SJS Direct imprint. I have a lot of fantasy and titles like the ISIS series and the Esteem series and the John Haynes series. And I also do other books like Men's Issues, but the whole thing is my main focus is really giving you Black characters that show you a larger picture of Black life and show you a larger picture of the Black experience.
Oh, folks, you want to start digging in, folks? I think it's that time. I start showing you some pictures, and let's start getting into the SJS verse, baby, because I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. So let's start breaking it down, brother. All right, I got this set up, so you already in the green room. I had something switched around. I had to fix. Thank goodness I asked. So let's get into it, baby. We're gonna add this to the stage. All right, with the first book over here being shown. Let me zoom that a little bit more. I want people to appreciate that. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Hey. All right, so talk to me. What is Isis Dark Incubus? Introduce me to this portion of your universe.
Well, Isis Dark Incubus is the follow-up to a John Haynes story called John Haynes Dark Succubus. It is the companion to it in that I show how the character of Isis is influenced by this evil incubus who is a demon. And this demon is basically influencing Isis, the goddess, and trying to, again, try to seduce her to try to take her soul. Because one of the foundations of the SJS Direct universe is that's a supernatural universe. It's a world of demons and gods and monsters and creatures of the night. I mean, it's a large world. And Isis is a heroine who is what I call the goddess next door. This was a concept I came up with when I was writing a proposal for a Wonder Woman run in a blog. And since I couldn't get over to DC to write those stories, I decided to take one character that I had written, Isis, and I had published her first story in 2002. And that story is one where the goddess, who was a teacher in the 20th century, is now a student in the 21st century, and she's learning about life. And as she learns about life, she's running into these different supernatural bad guys and supernatural villains. And I wanted to do this series because I wanted to show a story of a Black heroine. This was a concept I came up with way back in about 1999 or 98 or so. I remember sitting at the dinner table with my family, and they were talking to me about how there weren't that many Black female heroines. So I decided to create a Black female heroine, Isis, who was the daughter of Osiris, who was again, and I wanted to show a world of a goddess from Egyptian and Nubian mythology, because a lot of people don't know that Egypt and Nubia were like the United States and Canada. So she's like the Nubian version of Isis. And
today I had somebody, I was into a podcast and say, well, Egypt is technically in Africa. So Egyptians are, in fact, Africans. But so is that, is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Egyptians were Black because Egypt and Nubia were sister nations, brother and sister nations. And they're, again, like the United States and Canada. So Egyptians and Nubians are Black. And with the ISIS series, I wanted to show how Egyptians were Black and how Egyptians were basically building a Black civilization. And Isis is a descendant of that civilization. And as she's a descendant of that civilization, she looks to go out here and help out the Black community as the goddess next door, that friend who goes out to help people. That's something I got from old Superman and Wonder Woman comics, where Superman and Wonder Woman basically were looking to be friends of people and help people out. And as she goes where she's needed, she goes out here and helps people out. And the book is going on. It's about 20 books in the series right now. And this was the book that it's over 20 books in the series. But the whole thing is that this is the start of the third story arc. This is the entry point for the third story arc, because I've been doing this whole character transformation arc where the goddess who was a teacher is now the student, and she's learning about life in the 21st century. And as she learns about life in the 21st century, by going on different jobs and learning about people, she's learning about how to help people and learning how to, navigate life in the world. I wrote this so that kids could learn, about how people learn about life and explore life. So this whole series was one that I made to be very family friendly and all ages friendly.
And I was in teaching folks the right thing. The head ninja here says, tell that to all the white people out there pretending the Egyptians look like Christian Bale.
Not what I've seen. I mean,
right? You know what I mean? For real. But I'm digging that. All right. Wow. But again, like, you're 15 years in the game this year. Did your anniversary pass, or is it coming up?
It's coming up in December. That's when I started SJS Direct in 2009.
Salute to you. 15 years in the game as an independent bad boy. Sean James, brother. Let's go. I dig that. All right. Now, introduce me to this. This is the one that kind of had a little mixed up. You told me, no, flip him around, bet. Who is John Haynes?
Well, John Haynes is the flagship character of the SJS Direct universe. He's the character that basically started the entire SJS Direct universe back in 2011 with The Temptation of John Haynes. This was a book that I wrote back in 2005 or so. And this is the character who basically is the core character and the lead character of the universe. He's the character that Lucifer, the devil, has a problem with. He doesn't like this guy because he's just a good guy. And he's looking to try, in the first book, he tried to tempt him by making him the CEO of a corporation. And as he made him the CEO of this corporation, he basically is in this corporate hell. And he's in this corporate hell looking to, again, go out here and fight against Lucifer in this corporate hell. And he's basically, as he's in this journey as related to these stories, he's basically, again, my example of what a good person is. And I had started this book. I just did that one book, and then I followed up with The Man Who Rules the World. And as I was talking to an artist friend of mine, Mike Williams, who does the Geek Sledge comic strip, he said that there weren't that many images of black men and black masculinity out here that were positive. So I decided to do the John Haynes series. And the John Haynes character, basically, after I did a book called The Conversation with Death, which many people say is a lot like a Vertigo comic, this book basically blew up, and I continued the John Haynes series. And the book series did so well that over the last 5 years, I decided to move into comics. And that's what you see right here on Lulu, the John Haynes at Death Store comic. That came out in 2022 on Kickstarter, but I decided to sell it on Lulu to keep it out there. And again, the John Haynes character is one of the most popular characters in the SJS Direct universe. A lot of guys relate to him because he's a black man with a lot of strength and confidence. A lot of people relate to him because he's a CEO. A lot of people relate to him because he shows a picture of black manhood we don't really see, a black man who is a businessman, a black man who can go out here and live the dream that many black men want to have, of, again, showing how competent and capable we are in the business world. And in his stories, we get to see a lot of things that go on with black culture.
All I'm saying is how much more, as people of color, how much more harder we got to work, to prove that. And isn't that crazy? It's like,
yeah,
we're just as worthy, folks. I mean, what is wrong with you? This is insane. That this colorism, all this shit needs to stop, for real.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. And I love what you did here with this character. What you're talking about him. How many books is this now? This is 30 books? You're gonna fill up my long boxes, bro. What's going on here? I can't wait to meet you in person. I'm gonna be buying all this stuff.
Well, there's about 8 books in the John Haynes series, and this is the first comic that I've done. This is the first comic, but there's 8 books in the series right now. I'm working on the 9th one, which is going to be called A Thorn in My Side. That's what the tentative title is. That one I'm hoping to get out in 2025. But the John Haynes series was one that, again, I did because Mike Williams, he came to me, talked to me. He wanted me to create more positive images of black men and black masculinity. And I work with him, and he does the covers for them, but I do the stories. And the series has been popular, and people have just been enjoying it.
I love the representation of the woman on the back. With her fro, it looks sexy. I love me big hair, man. It's just my thing. I mean,
Well, that's
wow.
Death. That's the character of Death.
See, good. I like to see her like that because they always show her like this instead,
Yeah, I,
right?
I I got inspired by the DC version of Death, and but the
Ah, you
whole
see,
thing.
you made her cute. You made it cute. Like, damn it, maybe I do want to die. Where are you, mama? Let me stop. I dig that. All right, so we have this book, and then we got this baby right here, John Haynes, Illuminati. Yo, what is going on here, bro? Dangerous territory when you talking about the eye people.
Well, this story was one that, again, I was inspired by another friend of mine on Facebook, Chris Crazy House. He wanted me to do a homage to the cover, to the 1988 movie poster of Action Jackson for this cover.
Oh, I
And
saw that fucking movie. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers, bro.
yeah, but he wanted me to do a homage. And this was the story I decided to do this cover for, because as things have been building up in the John Haynes series, John Haynes, basically after he wound up beating up Thor and John Haynes Godbreaker, got caught. The Illuminati started to see that he's getting a little too powerful for him,
He
and
beat
they
up
wanted to.
Thor.
Yeah, he beat up Thor and Godbreaker.
Yo, everybody, you heard this? You got to read this book now. All right. Oh, I love this. All right.
So
Go.
after beating up Thor and Godbreaker, he basically gets on the radar of the Illuminati, and the Illuminati are all of these wealthy elite types in the SJS Direct universe. I mean, you got Count Dracula, who's a part of the Illuminati. You got a whole bunch of different guys who are part of the Illuminati. And the head of the Illuminati wants to go and try to challenge John Haynes, and it doesn't really end well for them. But this is a turning point as related to the John Haynes series, and it really shows, again, the kind of power that John Haynes is dealing with in this world as related to this corporate hell. And this was a story that, again, was a lot of fun to write, and I think a lot of people will enjoy. I mean, Illuminati basically shows you how these high echelon people are. I mean, I got a lot of inspiration from this, hearing all the conspiracy theories about the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and all that stuff. So I put it all together into this story, and I wanted to make this story one that was fun for readers and further continue to build on the story arc of the John Haynes series.
Oh, I'm digging it. I'm digging this, folks. You hear this? I already loving everything you're telling me over here. All right, we got two more books to talk about. We're gonna show off the store, peruse a little bit, and then we're gonna find out where he's at, so you guys can make it rain in person and get those signed copies. All right. So let's move on now to Esteem. No good deed. What's up? What's this? Who's this
Well,
evil?
this was Well, this character, Esteem, was inspired by actress Sally Richardson, and she was the assistant to John Haynes. She was a demon that Lucifer assigned to be his assistant in the temptation of John Haynes. And over the course of that story, she basically sees that Lucifer was basically setting up to kill her and decides to turn on Lucifer. And No Good Deed was the start of the Esteem series. Now, when I started this series back in 2013, this story was a huge hit. It got over 3,000 downloads. And that's when I decided to expand that into the series. And once I decided to expand it into a series, this story was so popular, I decided to hire comic artist Bill Walko to do a comic book version of it. And that comic book version was a lot of fun. Bill did just a fantastic job on the art. I mean, this is a fun comic. And I did this to be a comic to just basically show my writing skills and show Bill's art skills. And it's a really great story that sets off the Esteem series. Now, the Esteem series basically is a companion to the John Haynes series, and I take a lot of inspiration from old Lois Lane comics. Now, if anybody's read old Silver Age Lois Lane comics, you know that while they are connected to Superman, they are kind of on the more humorous side, and they are meant to, again, show how Lois plays off Superman. So this book basically further builds the supernatural world that Isis, John Haynes, and Esteem are in. But the whole thing is that the Esteem books basically are ones that are, again, continue to build on the world, but allow her character to grow and develop. And they are some of the more popular books. I mean, the Esteem series is one of the more popular series because it's really directly tied to John Haynes. And I also did this story to show a different side of Black women that as related to supernatural. Again, here's a very attractive supernatural Black woman in a supernatural series. And she's grown as a character. She started out as a demon. Now she's an avatar of Osiris. And she's further becoming closer to John Haynes. And that's where the storylines have been going these days. Her relationship with John is getting closer. And that's what we're seeing as the more recent books are going.
I think we need you to replace Lee Daniels, bro.
I wish
Lee
I could.
He put too much craziness in this stuff. You see, you making sense to me. Did you see Deliverance? You know,
I haven't watched it.
Oh my God! Like I watched it. I watched it blindly. You know, just sat down. I wasn't aware at first that Lee Daniels had made the film, and then as I watched it, I said, "Man, it makes sense that that Lee Daniels made this film. What the fuck is going on?" Okay, I'm just saying, like, there's you got some great directors, and you got some that is just I don't know. The more drama does not mean better. All I'm saying, right?
No, that's what I'm reading Sidfield's screenplay.
Well, you know what I'm saying? More drama does not mean better. Anyway, now talk about this one, right? You tell me this is going to be the new baby coming right here from Miss Steam? Horror in the Hamptons, bro.
Yeah. Well, Horror in the Hamptons picks up on a storyline that I had set up in a previous ISIS series book, ISIS Escape from Transylvania. And this basically is a story where the storyline in Escape from Transylvania, where Lucretia Dracula basically wound up becoming undead to living, is trying to deal with life. And as she's trying to deal with life, Esteem is going after John Haynes and telling him that she wants to be in on his so-called fantastic adventures, as she calls them. And she finds out that after going on one of these adventures, that the work that he does is a lot harder than she anticipates. So as they're going to the Hamptons, this is where they wind up in a haunted house and trying to escape this house of horrors. And as they try to escape this house of horrors, this is where she learns about the spiritual side of John Haynes' work as related to him being in this corporate hell and the impact of that work on people who all in the realms of the natural and the supernatural.
Interesting. Hey, so maybe she's not so much of a villain after all, huh?
No.
Love it. Love it. And with that, look at this guy. Yo, John Haynes, Illuminati, all about man, all about Nikki, Esteem. What, 70% women? Whoa, man, you getting deep on this one. Oh,
yeah,
man.
my nonfiction, I go into a whole different world.
Yo, hey, man, you know, those are conversations I would love to have. I have a different show for that. This is comic books, you know. I don't want to get nobody angry, but right now, I mean, oh, my man, John. I love the title. Thank you for being bold. They look like, man, but oh, man, yeah, I get it, bro. I grew up with a whole bunch of those folks around the way. Yo, for real, I dig it. The woman. What? Okay, I like this. I like this title. I see the flag message. They do this to my Puerto Rican flag when they make it black and white and put it backwards. What's this? What's this book about right here? Yeah,
The Woman Crisis is a companion to the Man Crisis, and it's about how America's men and women are just really in a dysfunctional state, and why they're in this dysfunctional state. Because I see this whole trend of men and women not being able to navigate life. So that's what the Woman Crisis is all about. That was a companion to the Man Crisis, which I published in 2018, which is a huge hit. And people had asked me for this book, so I decided to make a companion to it to show how women are struggling just like men in society.
Yeah, we're all going through something. Oh, and I love this title here. Stop simping in the workplace. Oh man, can you give me just brief? I'm just digging the title. Listen, but you like mad creative, but then you also do the side thing and just speak your mind. I love this type of shit right here. Talk to me. What's this?
With Stop Simping in the Workplace, that's a book that I wrote as a companion to my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. And this book is about helping men who are simps or to identify workplace predators, and for guys to learn how to identify workplace predators so they don't get jammed up on their job. So I see a lot of guys that get jammed up on cases of sexual harassment and other issues. I mean, I saw what happened to recently Neil Gaiman and Ed Piskor. And this is the kind of book that I
had a show a couple years ago, and to hear the passing, and how and the whys.
Yeah, man, that's what really saddened me. I mean, I always said I could have sat down and talked to him because I have a degree in business and I learned about human resources. I learned about sexual harassment, and I learned how to navigate those situations. And I wish I could have sat down and talked to him, or even Neil Gaiman, because when you're a comic producer, you are a business, and since
Yeah.
you are a business, you have to look out for yourself. And that's why I wrote Stop Simping in the Workplace, because I want guys to be able to identify workplace situations, whether they have a job or they're in a business, that can get them jammed up, and avoid those situations so they can go on to have productive careers.
Yeah, absolutely, and not get blacklisted or whatever. Get this cancel society. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, fuck it, manginas. They look like men, but act like ladies. What is popping here with this one? That's a hard one right there.
Well, that was one of my better selling books. And it's about these guys who are like these male feminists and these soft males, and these guys who want to identify with women and how this behavior is dysfunctional. And the Manginas book, basically, it helps men understand why this behavior isn't going to help them in life and just really is going to mess them up. So I wrote that book because I see a lot of these guys, these male feminists, these soft males, and they sit
Word,
there thinking that pandering to women will get them over,
word,
but it just makes them into a joke.
word. Listen, I hate the term toxic masculinity, for example. Ain't no such shit. If that's the case, how come we don't hear the term toxic femininity? Because then that also must be a thing, right? Um,
Yeah,
like no such thing. Just stop, yo. It ain't talk. We're protectors. We're male. We all who we are. Yeah. Some of us may not behave very well, but it's just that doesn't mean that has to do with masculinity. That is that person maybe just being a dick,
yeah,
right?
that's what it is. And
Is
usually,
that
what I find is the toxic males are usually these soft, if these male feminists. These are the guys who are worse than the regular man. And I talk about that in many of my men's issues books, like The Man
bro,
Crisis and Man Chinas and Stop
bro,
Simping.
I'm gonna bring you on to another show where we could really like get in a little bit later at night, and I'm gonna stream it exclusively on Rumble then, because we need to have some talk about shit like this. I love it. I mean, look
Yeah.
at this. Did you have a great line of books? I mean, how do you keep yourself busy? How do you know how to divide your time between projects? Is it one at a time? Do you have a
Well, back in the day, I used to do 3, 4 projects at a time, but these
Jesus?
days I've been kind of slowing it down. And I used to, I one time I did 13 books in a year, but these days I do about 4 books a year. I mean, I usually do the books Isis, John Haynes, and Esteem, and usually I do another novel, or I do a nonfiction book like this for 2025. I want to do Isis, John Haynes, Esteem, and a new book I'm writing right now, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, which is a light novel, which I want to have images in and artwork in.
Nice,
But usually I work on 4 books a year because I want to keep projects coming out for the
nice,
spring
bro.
and fall season, because in the book market, usually in spring, it's a big market because that's where people are buying books for their vacations and buying books for their kids when they're getting out of school. And in the fall season, people are buying a lot of books and the Times for Christmas as gifts for people. So I usually divide my time between both of those schedules and getting books out. And that's the way I've been doing work business for the last 15 years.
15 years again. God bless on that journey, bro. For you as an independent creator to do what you do, have all these amazing books out. And folks, I mean, visit the Amazon shop. So many deals right here. Look at it. $2.99, $5, 99 cents for Kindle's editions. You know what I mean? So if you have yourself a Kindle, get that app, get that tablet turned on. And they can get physical, can they, if they want it?
Yeah, there's paperbacks of everything,
Hey,
except for certain books.
so, so
Certain
uh,
books, there's ebook only, but most of the books are paperback.
Now, let me ask, but I love the energy here, bro. Are you doing anything? Because again, it is con season. We're almost at the end of it, of course. You know what I mean? But are you going to be anywhere in New
I
York or
wish I could
travel?
be at a con. I mean, that's something I've wanted to do. I was planning on doing one in 2020, but the pandemic came along. But I was working on getting the budget together to do a con. I mean, the last time I did a show was 2010 Harlem Book Fair, but I didn't really sell anything. So I've been primarily digital since then. But I would love to get out here and do a con one day. I just got to get the funds to do it and get the resources together. I mean, there was a goth that had invited me to do a show in New Jersey, but I just couldn't get the money together for the logistics. But it's
Well,
something I'd like to do in the future.
well, I'll tell you this, just as a hustler. Come on, you from the BX, kiddo. You need to know. And that if you were at a booth, never sit down. You got to do like my man Frank Martin and oh my god, and Henri Compton. These guys, right? They push their table all the way back, and they stand throughout the whole show. They hold books in their hands. Anyone that passes, hey yo, come over here. Hey Poppy, come over here. Hey yo, whoever, whatever. Hey, check this out. Pimping. They never take inventory back home. So I suggest everybody do that. Like, don't unless you're an artist, don't fucking sit down at a table. Honest to God, do not sit, stand, and pimp that stuff out. Let them know what you got. You know, have some maybe some cool little button or something, just get their attention. Hey, reach out, hey, get this book. Do like the Jehovah's Witnesses. Hey, check this out and bring them in. You know what I mean? Something. But and if you need me, brother, let me know what you want to do, kiddo. We could talk in the green room after this, cause people need to see what you're doing here. This is wonderful stuff. Great looking books, folks. I've been showing you the Amazon link. The link is below in the show notes. All right. I want you to click away. And also, you can follow Sean everywhere because my man is everywhere. He's on X and Meta as Sean. That's SHAWN James. All right. That's on X and Meta. On LinkedIn, Sean S. James 9973. And listen, you want to support an independent creator? You just heard him. He needs some funds to get to a con. Maybe we should all Crusaders. We should help him get to a con. Throw him a little sign on his Cash App at Sean's S. James. All right. Again, that's SHAWN for Sean. Okay, not the white way. And that's James, and get it done. That's it. Show the love. Show the love to independent creators. Now, kiddo, in this journey, 15-year journey that you have been on thus far, I mean, a great line of books, comic books, real talk, man talk, dig it, yo. I can't wait to fucking have you on the other show. I'm excited now. What type of advice would you give to creators trying to step into the game now?
Well, I would give creators who want to step into the medium of comics and science fiction and fantasy. One thing I would tell them to do is go out here and learn the craft of writing. Because one of the things I see with a lot of people is that they have great ideas, but they don't know how to execute them. And one of the things I want them to do is get a foundation in learning the craft of writing. And that's something you can do by picking up books like Sid Field's Screenplay and Robert McKee's Story and learn about how stories come together. And the other thing that I want creators to understand is that you really got to work out your logistics. I mean, one of the things that I see from a lot of comic creators is that, yes, they have great ideas for comics. I see this on Kickstarter all the time, but they really don't have a good background for business. And yeah, they'll get the project funded, but then they'll run into issues as related to things because they don't understand logistics as related to budgeting, as related to factoring all the costs. And that leads to issues with your whole project. I mean, you really have to focus on your logistics. One, focus on, again, getting your budget together after you get funded. To focus on getting your shipping and everything together so that stuff ships out quickly. That was one of the things I did with the John Haynes at Death Store Kickstarter. Is after I did the story and I worked out the things as related to the story and got the logistics together, so that one, the artist Antonio Baldari could get paid, and then two, worked it out so that people could get their books on early. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had a great experience, and a lot of people did have a great experience because after the project got funded, I got the books to the marketplace very quickly, and that's not something I'm seeing with people these days, especially a lot of comic creators. They don't really understand that this is a business, and you really have to have your business hat on point as relates to in addition to your creative hat. And a lot of people, what they do is they'll go out here and they'll be very creative, but then their business is a complete mess.
I agree. What type of help should they go for if they can't handle everything themselves? Should they maybe seek outside sources? And if it's so, what are the best types of help to seek if they want to just be creative?
Well, if they want to be creative, they could talk to other creators online. I mean, there's some good people out there who will try to help you out as related to your story. I mean, I have a person who asked me for some help with the story. I'm helping them out right now. Now, some people fear their ideas getting stolen, but if people, a guy like myself, I don't need to steal ideas. I have my own ideas, but I want to see somebody, again, learn the basics of storytelling. And when it comes to art, again, you can learn by looking at different compositions and forms and comics.
I want to talk to you because since you're doing stuff on the black side, I have a story on the Puerto Rican side that I would love someone with your 15 years of experience to take a look at. Because I gave it to my brothers and I said, "Yo, check what I did." One of them was like, what the fuck, Al?" I was like, "Okay, all right." I love the response. I'm waiting for my other brother, Danny P3 podcast. Hurry up! I want to be able to share this. I just want their approval to share because I use their, I use our code names, if you will, in the
Yeah.
story to make it fun. But yeah, I want to be able to put something out there too, but and you inspiring the shit out of me. Like, yo, not just comics but books. And before we go, just another question. I didn't ask this, and I'm sorry I didn't. How do you get your artists, bro? How do you build that network, man? How do you navigate to build a network of artists like you have? Because obviously the covers were all different artists and whatnot. So how did you build that arsenal of people to go to?
Well, I just going out here. Mike Williams, I met when I was right doing my blogging, and we had been friends for a long time online. And I was in a jam as related to another book I did, A Legendary Mad Matilda. And I just got the idea, okay, I will use Mike to do the cover of Legendary Mad Matilda since I couldn't find another artist to do it. And Bill Walker was a guy, I just saw his art on DeviantArt. And as I saw his art on DeviantArt, I went to his website and I said to myself, I'm going to work with this guy. And I just sent him an email in 2014 to do a cover for Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess. And we've been working together for the last 10 years on covers. And I've been working with him. I just asked him out of the blue. I mean, so a lot of times what I've seen is you just ask people, and if you ask them about their rates or ask them about, doing a cover, some artists will be open to it. Now, some comic artists will blow you off, but then other ones will be interested because with a trade publishing credit, it's a lot higher than a comic credit. That's what I found in the publishing world. So a lot of times I would just go out here and ask. And just like when I went on Facebook, when I found Antonio Baldari, that was with the help of Kevin Grieve, who told me to, go look for an artist outside of America. He was the creator of Blue Marvel. He told me to go look for an artist outside of America. So I went and looked for Antonio Baldari. He said he was looking for work. And then that's how I found him for John Haynes at Death's Door. I mean, it's just go up and ask people. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I just go out here and just ask them. And I figure, what's the point? I mean, people want to make money. I mean,
the worst they'll say is no, and that's that. Move on.
Yeah.
Be friends. Later on, maybe they'll say yeah when you try again. That's all.
Yeah. I'm just saying, credit's a credit in this business. So a lot of artists, they will take a credit if it's going to lead to them getting some exposure. And I try to get them exposure and try to get comics artists out there, because one of the things I wanted to do was go out here and, again, give back to the comic book world that helped me learn how to read. And that's why I have so many comic artists on my covers, is because I want to give back to this medium, and I want to share with this medium. I want to get, again, comic artist art out there, because I see the state of the industry right now, and it's really a lot of the businesses are struggling. And this is my way of helping out a comic artists out here get their work out there and get their name out there. Because when it comes to SJS Direct Books, you're going to be seen by casual readers all over the world. Because I have readers all over the world. I have readers as far as France and Germany, the UK, Spain, Africa, Japan. I mean, there are people who read my books all over the world.
Worldwide, kiddo, worldwide, baby, like Pitbull.
they get a lot of exposure on these platforms. And it gets your name out there. I mean, a lot of the artists I work with, this gets their name out there and helps them build their business and their brand.
Bro, you're doing your thing, bro. You're doing your thing. I'm sad you're not doing live appearances or even some panel talks, bro. I think that you should definitely navigate on those lanes, bro. Hey, what up, Dominic? What's up? What's going on? And over here, D-Dub 3000 says, what up, Sean? Good to see you live.
Oh, what's up, guys?
They're loving you because you're also a YouTuber and a blogger and do your thing. So before we go, talk about your YouTube channel. Like, how often did you go live? How often did you put up content? Like, what's popping off?
Well, the Sean James channel is one where I promote my books and I talk about different things in the comic book industry and the world of fantasy and science fiction. And I also talk about Black issues. And the channel, it has daily content 2 times a day. 2 o'clock, I usually do a video about different topics. And then at 8 o'clock, I do the really primetime subjects like things going on in Hollywood or things going on in the world of news. And I do live streams every Friday night around 11:15. So that's the schedule. I mean, Mondays, I usually take off, but Tuesday through Sunday, there's usually content at 2 o'clock about different topics. And on usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays, there's comic book stuff at 2 o'clock. And 8 o'clock, the prime time chime. That's when I again talk about Hollywood or the entertainment industry. And again, comics and science fiction and all types of different topics to talk about on the Sean James channel. And sometimes video people make video requests on the Cash App and the PayPal. So there's always some great content on the channel for everyone.
I love it, brother. And look at D-Dub 3000 say, you should do voiceovers. I truly think you have talent. By showing you that love, bro. Showing you that love, man. That's great.
If they hire me, I'll do it. If they hire me for a voiceover, I'll do it.
You make it rain on my man SJ right there. He'll make it happen. That's it, yo. All right, let's do it. SJS in the building. SJS direct, murdering the game. Check him out. I've been sharing the links, folks. I'll repeat it once again on X and Meta is Sean S. James. SHAWN. All right. Also on LinkedIn.
SHAWN S. James.
Yep, Sean S. James 9973 on LinkedIn, and of course that Cash App. You want to make it rain and just support him, and let's get him a table at a convention somewhere. I think that's what we should do. So Cash App from Sean S. James. Let him know it's for the table, James. That should be the message. For a table. Show him love and let him put that on the side so that we could get him to a con somewhere in New York, and I could flow by and make sure that I give him a big old whip. Yo, computer robots, what's popping, yo? What's popping? What's popping? Thank you for tuning in. Yo, this is what it is, yo. This is an amazing creator in the business, all right, doing his thing. And most importantly, folks, I showed it, right? Go to his Amazon bookstore. Amazon.com stores. Look for Sean James and more. But listen, once you look up Esteem or John Haynes, and Haynes is Haynes for our listeners that are not watching on video. All right, so look up John Haynes, all right, Illuminati on that Amazon store right now. Make it rain. Make it rain. Yo, and Head Ninja, look at that. Everybody's showing love on the channel. That computer bots is showing fan. Head Ninja showing love. And Dominic Nick says, the fan of milestones, do you plan on covering the other titles from the publisher, including what happened to the characters after the Dakotaverse was merged with it? Ooh, on this channel, I definitely want to talk about that stuff. How about you, Sean? I mean, you going to talk about these things?
I have already talked about them, and I'd be glad to talk about them again because Reginald Hudlin he destroyed Milestone, and he didn't really understand these characters. He didn't understand their stories, and he basically neutered these characters in order to try to make CW TV shows or something like that. But those comics never really hit as hard as Milestone in the 90s, and I'd love to get into depth with that. I already did a whole video on how Reginald Hudlin.
There was such there was a greediness to the 90s books, and then when you bring on the new version, again, I spoke to Chris Priest at a con once, right before Milestone got back live. I'm like, yo, what the hell? I asked him, what's the fucking holdup? And he just goes, hey, well, this is just a lot of contract and paperwork issues, especially after Dwayne. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a lot of shit just going on.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Come on. All right, so finally we got it released, right? But I think it was subpar. It wasn't the Milestone that it was. I mean, like, listen, the old Milestone created one of the dopest ever POC cartoons in Static Shock, right?
Yeah.
That ran for multiple seasons and shit. Like, yo, why are you not handling this property with white gloves? I mean, kid gloves. This should cater to this, but no, they don't. So people want original POC characters. You have a whole fucking universe of them, and you mismanage it.
Yeah, that's what really upset me because I managed the SJS Direct universe, and it took me years to build this universe, and I just really was sad to see what happened to Milestone and how Reginald Hudlin just fumbled the football because everything was there to really bring these characters back and make them fun characters, but he just missed it.
I mean, how much more fun could you have with hardware, with the advances of technology nowadays that you could actually, these creators could throw into there? Man, I think we could probably, damn, man. Rest in peace, Dwayne. I wish he was still around. I think things were a
Yeah, I
little bit.
wish he was too. I mean, he was a brilliant creator.
Yeah, I hate that they call him the Black Stan Lee. No, he was Dwayne McDuffie. That's it.
Yeah,
The fuck. Stop comparing him to other people. He was a fucking boss, bro.
yep,
Anyway, I'll leave it at that. All right. Now let me get emotional on this type of shit because I don't like how they always make POC creators look like less, and that's not fair. Stop doing
yeah.
that.
Because Dwayne was an icon in and of himself. I mean, he was a brilliant man.
You ain't lying. The Dwayne McDuffie Foundation that gives awards every year. You know what? His widow that handles that. Bless. Good things. At least, try to support minority creators. Let's go. Let's do it. I mean, I hate that we can't just be creators.
Yeah,
Get me? Always got to throw something in front of it. POC creators, minority creators. No, why can't we just be creators? Stop putting things in front of it like American. We're all American. Nothing else in front. You know what I mean? How about that? Is that fucking difficult? I don't know. The world is crazy, brother. Yo. So with that, oh wait. Hey, a couple of underrated top of milestone are Zombie. Yes, I agree. Shadow Cannon I really like, and Heroes. Heroes to name several heroes, huh? Yeah. I'm down with Shadow Cannon though. Again, I like shit that is evil and dark. So bad guys doing fucking bad things. I like it. Anyway, yo, Sean, you're a boss. I wish you were doing cons, like I said, but hopefully with that cash that people start sending you, and hopefully we could maybe fund you to get to the team. Come on, Crusaders, show the love. But you've been awesome. Come here for the new stuff. This is your casa. You're welcome back anytime. And to you Crusaders out there that were tuning in today, thank you so much. I appreciate the support and the love. But please follow him everywhere. Everything is in the show notes below. Just click away, show love, make it rain on the big homie. All right? Let him know that Mega sent you when you show that love. All right. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. It's Sean James. Mega. Hasta la próxima. Huepa! Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit ComicCrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at UndercoverCapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.